shit. I was not expecting to make this video. I prefer to watch the entire season or series before I give any of my thoughts, but wow, did this leave an impression. And look, I'm not an anti-SJW or anti-woke reviewer either. I'm on here because I want to talk about stories I like and stories I dislike, and why. But after the slurry of piss-poor storytelling Phase 4 has given us, I don't know, I kind of thought She-Hulk would approach mediocre at least, but no, this is downright bad. Oh, and before you ask what I did think of Ms. Marvel and Thor Love and Thunder, didn't see it, wasn't interested, and absolutely atrocious. One of the worst Taika movies I've ever seen, and one of the worst MCU movies I've ever seen. It genuinely made me miss Kenneth Branagh as Thor. Some of you watching this may say, "But Tripod, you're not a woman, you're an eldritch behemoth of death, so you won't relate to Jennifer Walters or her troubles," and you're right, I'm not a woman. But you know what? Relatability can be universal. Relatability doesn't mean I see myself in them. It means I can understand and sympathize with our characters' struggles and hardships. If I can relate to characters like Vi, Jinx, Ruby, Joy, Beatrix Kiddo, Eowyn, Sarah Connor, Ellen Ripley, Natasha Romanoff, Danny, Zoe, or motherfucking Savika, the Jennifer Walters has absolutely no excuses. So She-Hulk starts and Jen, can I call her Jen? I'm gonna call her Jen. Jen is prepping for a case and her male coworker is belittling her because he thinks she's gonna fuck it up, but her friend tells her that she was almost in tears over her speech. Jen then takes some time to fill in the audience via a fourth wall break as to how she became a Hulk, and it all started with Jen and Bruce were going on a cross-country road trip. Bruce has a device that keeps him from turning into the Hulk. This is obviously to clear up the fuck up they had in Shang-Chi where Bruce was, well, Bruce and not Professor Hulk. But by doing this, isn't Bruce like repressing Hulk now when the whole part of Professor Hulk is that they work together in solidarity? Bruce, you fucking asshole, why are you repressing Hulk? He trusts you. Hulk is more than just another side to Banner, he is his own being. Think Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. So they talk about how Captain America might have been a virgin.
What? What the fuck?
For some reason. And a spaceship comes down right in front of them and causes them to crash. I mean, I don't know about you guys, I fucking hate it when that shit happens. For real. Seriously guys, I just rewatched Daredevil Season 3, and there's a scene where Karen is driving and ends up crashing her car and flipping it via those road safety guardrails. But in this show, it's just a spaceship lands directly in front of them. That's really fucking unlucky. What do they want? Were they trying to get to Bruce if they were willing to land right in front of him? Why didn't they come down and check on you guys? It doesn't matter. They just disappear, out of frame, out of mind, I guess. So Jen crawls out and saves Bruce from the wreck and his blood spills into her. Do you guys know how hard it is to mix blood? It's not like it just happens, you usually have to make a very conscious effort to get your blood mixed into somebody else's. I'm almost certain her comic book origin is that she got a blood transfusion from Bruce. A very active way of getting his blood into her as opposed to it just drops into her cut. Jen then turns into a Hulk and runs into the woods. She wakes up in the middle of nowhere, goes to some bar to clean up, and a group of girls come in and comically start cleaning her up like they're the animals from Snow White or something. No questions as to what she's been through, they just assume that some guy beat on her. She then goes outside trying to call Bruce. For some reason, she just assumes he's okay when the last time she saw him, he was terribly injured. There's absolutely no concern over his well-being. He just has to come pick her up. So she's outside and some guys start catcalling her. Okay, how many times are we gonna do the catcalling cliche? It was in Captain Marvel, Wonder Woman 84, The Boys, like, yeah, some men can be creepy. Some men can be assholes. Some men can be creepy assholes. But screenwriters, just stop doing catcalling scenes overall. Not because it doesn't exist, it absolutely does, but because it's so overutilized at this point. Like, is this the only situation you can throw our protagonists in to show an example of sexism or hardship in day-to-day life? I know that's not true. I mean, fuck, Justice League, at least it's something different. Also, guys out there, if you're trying to pick up a woman, don't use these lines. Just offer her to buy her a beer or a smoke, whatever she's into, and see what she says. So Jen gets angry, transforms, and goes to attack one of these guys before being tackled by Bruce.
Why?
You were so angry you were going to assault some guys and potentially kill them with your Hulk hands. Yeah, she clearly doesn't have a hold on her new powers nor her anger. So Jen wakes up again at some beach house escape and goes down to the lab to see Bruce. Bruce claims he's now Smart Hulk, which is a stupid name created by stupid people on Twitter, and Bruce says he doesn't get to choose his name. But you kinda do. No one's around, just call yourself what you wanna be called. Bruce says they were hit by a Sicarian Class 8 courier craft. They didn't even hit the ship! They were trying to deliver a message and he needs to get on top of that, but Jen comes first. Pretty understandable that he would have a vested interest in his cousin's well-being, but maybe you really should get on top of that Sicarian thing. I mean, they came here physically to tell you something. Maybe it's imperative because Earth is gonna be invaded again, or something worse? Nah, they're just gonna sweep that under the rug. So Jen comes to the realization that she changed into a Hulk, but has absolutely zero concern about whether she harmed someone or not. If I were in her position, I'd be having a meltdown, like, oh my god, did I kill someone? Is anyone harmed? Bruce, you gotta do something, you gotta help change me back or something. I don't know, this seems almost out of character for someone who's a lawyer. Bruce then explains that they share a rare genetic combination that allows their blood to synthesize gamma radiation and that he used her blood to heal his arm. What the fuck? All of this is to set up how Jen can better handle her Hulk powers while also sweeping under the rug the fact that Hulk had a fucked up arm. He doesn't explain how her blood is different even though a second ago he explains how similar they are. This whole conversation is just the writers hoping to God the audience gets too confused about what they're saying so they don't question it. That didn't work with Endgame and that isn't working here. She then calls Bruce smug because he calls himself smart and he knows these things. This is like his job, this is his life, this is his specialty, you clown. Jen then demands that Bruce helps turn her back to normal, but Bruce emphasizes that this isn't going away. She then asks for the same device Bruce had in the beginning to repress her Hulk abilities, but Bruce says he can't because it was a prototype and calibrated specifically to him. Jen responds with the natural response, then calibrate it to me. And then Bruce completely sidesteps the whole conversation without considering that or without explaining why he can't do that. He just sweeps it under the rug.
What the
Did you ever need a clearer example of lazy fucking writing? Holy shit. You wanted to patch up your previous fuck up and in doing so created another one. What the fuck? So Bruce makes her some pancakes, tells her she's embarking on a multi-year journey of figuring this thing out, but all she can think about is getting back to her job. She has no understanding of how dangerous this is, not only to herself, but to other people. Again, seems kind of out of character for someone who's supposed to be a lawyer. In fact, it seems out of character for someone who's related to Bruce fucking Banner to just not take this seriously. So Bruce starts putting Jen through stressful situations to try and gather data on her transformations, but the helmet breaks. Why did she take off the helmet? Why was the helmet in the middle of the room where it could be destroyed? Like, whatever, so she transforms, destroys the wall, the door, and one of Bruce's computers. $1 million worth of damage. Really doesn't seem like you have your anger in check. It's then revealed that Jen doesn't have an alter ego like Bruce does. She's completely conscious. So, she knew what she was doing when she went to attack those guys, right? Like, fine, if a woman is surrounded by several guys, what do you think she would use to disable them? If you picked any of these three options, you'd be correct. So why does she try to punch one of the guys when she knows she's part Hulk? Or if she doesn't know she's part Hulk, she knows she's extremely angry. She could have killed that guy. Like, why wouldn't she go for a weapon if she's still conscious? Jen then says that she's done here because she no longer has to wrestle with an alter ego. No.
Sometimes you come off as very stupid.
Bruce then tells her that she has no idea what it means to be a Hulk, the damage that could be caused physically, emotionally, and relationship-wise, and she just goes, fine, teach me how to Hulk, please. Like, girl, this is your cousin offering you all the answers in exchange for your time, and you're so petty and impatient with him. Why? Did you guys have a rough relationship? I don't get why she's so opposed to learning more about her abilities. We get a montage of Bruce being a fantastic cousin, showing her everything she needs to know while she's accepting it, but also annoyed by it all. Bruce is obviously frustrated. After all, he had to battle this situation for years, and his cousin comes in and starts nailing everything or doing it better than he can. Not only that, but his cousin isn't taking it very seriously. So Bruce decides to show her a benefit to being the Hulk. He says that they can drink so much without getting drunk. So what the fuck is the point? How's this a benefit? This must be Drinker's personal hell. But this is immediately contradicted in the next scene because guess what? They're drunk. So you didn't mean they can't get drunk, they just have a higher alcohol tolerance that prevents them from ending up like this. Redraft your fucking scripts, people, because this show is just contradicting itself from one scene to the next. So Bruce and Jen are drunk and Bruce starts reminiscing about Tony because Tony helped him build this place. I miss their relationship and I wish we got to see more of it than what we got. The next day, Bruce is trying to teach Jen to meditate a specific way, but she interrupts him asking when he thinks she'll be able to go back to her life. And Bruce says that becoming a superhero is a trial by fire. Jen is obviously upset at this because she doesn't want to be a superhero. Bruce responds by saying that they are two of the only people on the planet who have the power to protect Earth, and he's trying to get her ready to handle the stress and frustration that will bring. Jen then makes the claim that she keeps her anger more under control than Bruce by repressing it during catcalls or her coworkers mansplaining, because if she doesn't, she'll be called emotional, difficult, or worse, be murdered. Look, women go through a lot, more than I'll ever know, so I'm not getting into that, but how fucking dare you claim that you keep your anger in check more than the guy who's literally mastered it?
It's false. No way.
Not this time.
Oh, you're so unlikable. It's really hard to be on your side, Jen, when you're ignorant towards the power you have and disrespectful towards your cousin who's taking his own time to try to help and guide you. Jen then turns into She-Hulk, then at will turns back into Jen. Why doesn't she have an alter ego? That was never explained. How did she know to turn back? She just does it, no issue, on command. Jen then says she's going to borrow the Jeep and take it back to LA. Like, girl, you just decided you're gonna steal Bruce's Jeep. He's clearly not okay with you doing this. You are a lawyer, what the fuck? Jen says she's not interested in being a superhero. A notable argument, Bruce can't force her into this life. But she follows up by saying she doesn't want to be Bruce, hired by some government contracted squad, having his life taken away, hiding on some remote beach alone, not having any relationships, no friends, not seeing his family, dealing with decades worth of trauma, and fucking ends it off by calling him a cautionary tale.
What a bitch.
I'm just gonna put this here real quick. And why are you acting like a dick? Jen, you have a great reason to want to leave. Bruce is trying to get you to become a superhero like him, but instead of explaining that calmly, you start criticizing him. Everything he went through, all the struggles he had to endure, the losses he had to suffer.
I got low. I didn't see an end, so I put a bullet in my mouth and the other guy spit it out.
The friends he made and the sacrifices he had to make to get to where he is now. And you know what? He's doing way fucking better than you. Fuck you. Bruce found a makeshift family with the Avengers. He had a friend that wasn't scared of him. He built relationships from nothing, and he had to do all of that while fearing for their lives because he could fucking kill them. And now he's trying to pass his wisdom onto you, but you don't want it because you're good? Fucking insane. So Jen runs over Bruce, rams him into some rocks. He gets up and tells her she's doing the best she can, but she can do better, and then she punches him? Like, what led to that? Jen, you have some fucking anger issues, whether you believe it or not. So, they fight. She learns the Hulk clap and they end up destroying Bruce's bar, repairing it. Bruce says she can go back and then she leaves. Like, sure, I guess they had to get some frustration out, but the pacing just... what is this pacing? So we're back in present time. Jen's male coworker is still being a straight up asshole for no reason, telling her not to screw it up when suddenly...
The jury.
Someone in the art department should be fired. Like, what is this? So Jen's friend tells her to Hulk out and she beats the baddie in a very poorly edited fight scene, and then she turns back to her human form and that's the end of the episode. I don't get it. Why can't these writers write a likable, sympathetic, and empowering woman cursed with more power than she knows what to do with? Jennifer Walters in this episode comes off as extremely self-centered, ignorant towards her cousin's blight to the point of being downright disrespectful to Bruce, and she comes across as highly irrational and mean-spirited. She doesn't give me the vibe of someone who's mastered the ability to keep her anger in check. She comes across like she needs anger management, starring Adam Sandler and Jack Nicholson. Nora is someone who respects the power she's been cursed with. She isn't overwhelmed by it. She has no downsides from having these abilities. She is portrayed as if she has mastered these abilities from the very get-go, which critically undermines Bruce's struggle. I like characters with flaws. Every single one of these characters I mentioned earlier have flaws that are highlighted and made clear. I don't know if Jen being a self-indulgent, ignorant, irrational woman is part of her character arc. 1, because I haven't seen the whole series yet, of course. And 2, because it's not clearly explained that these are shortcomings. If anything, the show portrays these as good qualities to have. Maybe the series will confront some of these issues going forward, but I really don't think they will. The showrunners likely won't have her introspect on herself or how she treats her cousin. They likely won't make it so these powers disastrously harm her life, and they likely won't make it so Bruce was right in the end by saying she needs to be more cautious with her powers. They could. They absolutely could. But this episode was so bad that it turned me off towards the whole series. Maybe I'll do a full season review? Who knows? I pray to Bruce Almighty that these issues are tackled appropriately as the show progresses, but wow, this was horrific. Oh, Bruce, how could I forget about Bruce? What have you done to my Hulk? Why is he taking her shit? At least they didn't ruin this. Look, if you enjoyed this, then good for you, honestly. But after episode 1, I can't imagine anyone unironically enjoying this other than those weirdos who want to be this guy, or the 40-year-old sex weirdos who bought She-Hulk comics just to see her tied up. Some positives? The CGI looks really bad still, but there's definitely been some improvements. Tatiana Maslany is really good in the show, even if it seems like she's not actually looking at Bruce sometimes. And I like the nods to Tony Stark. Other than that though, there's very little to praise in this. Anyways, bye.